For today's video, we are finally back on Tier Maker. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but whenever I do them, you guys really seem to enjoy them, so I figured it would be a good time to do another one today. And what we're going to be ranking today is the previous 15 draft classes. In these tiers, we have GOAT, which stands for greatest of all time, so that's going to be like the best out of the past 15. Then we have good, average, meh, so that's like kind of underwhelming, and then obviously we have too early. So those are the tiers we're going to be ranking the previous 15 draft classes on today. I will link this down below in the description so you guys can go do it, maybe take a picture of it and tweet at me or something like that, and we can have a conversation about it. But with that being said, let's jump right into it, and I'm going to get this out of the way by putting the 2018, the 2019, and probably even the 2017 draft class in too early to judge, because obviously a lot of the prospects drafted in those classes haven't even had a chance to prove themselves yet at the NHL level. 2017 you could make a case, but guys like Nolan Patrick hasn't had the best with injury luck so far. I don't think we've seen the best from him. Obviously you have Pettersson, Heiskanen, and Makar, fantastic players, but I still feel like for the most part, you know, kind of judging that whole draft entirely, it's too soon to judge, so that's why they're there for me. And now, getting into the first draft class that we are actually going to rank, we have the 2016 NHL draft. You honestly could say it is a little bit too early, because I'm sure there are players that were taken in 2016 that will end up being good NHLers that haven't really proven themselves just yet. But for the most part, especially the top end picks, they've turned out great. You know, Matthews and Laine, they're both beasts. Pierre-Luc Dubois at number 3 was fantastic. Obviously, Jesse Puljujarvi at number 4 is a bit of a down spot, but then you had players like Matthew Tkachuk, Mikhail Sergachev, and then in the second round, you had guys like Alex DeBrincat and Carter Hart. Overall, just a fantastic draft class, and I definitely am going to put them in the good category, and I really think it's just going to continue to get better as these players develop and go throughout their careers. Moving on to the 2015 draft, which is going to be probably the only draft of the video I'm going to put in the GOAT category. I mean, just an unbelievable draft class, especially the first round. You had the top end picks like Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel, who are obviously amazing players. Connor McDavid is widely regarded as the very best player in the National Hockey League. Dylan Strome has found himself at the NHL level. You had guys like Marner, Provorov, Werenski, Timo Meier, Rantanen. I mean, you can go on and on. Guys like Barzal, Konechny, and Besser selected later in the first round. And then in the second round, you had a guy like Sebastian Aho, who's now a franchise player for Carolina. I mean, just throughout this entire draft, there are studs. I don't really think anyone should have a problem with the 2015 class being up here in the GOAT category. Next up, we have the 2014 draft, and like 2016, I am going to put this in the good category. You have the franchise players at the top, Leon Draisaitl and David Pastrnak, who would be like the 1 and 2 picks if there were a redraft. And then you just had some more solid players throughout, guys like Dylan Larkin, Braden Point, who was an absolute steal by the Tampa Bay Lightning in the second round, Nick Ehlers, Sam Reinhart, William Nylander, Victor Arvidsson, Ekblad, Fiala. You know, just a ton of really good players overall. I'm not going to name every single one because then this video would just be too long and it would just be me naming off players, but you guys get the point. I think the 2014 draft class, looking back at it, was very solid, has produced a ton of good players, so I'm going to put that in the good category. Moving on now, we have the 2013 draft. And honestly, I think I am going to put this draft class in the good category as well. Like I said, with 2014 and with 2016, you do have a couple of franchise players. Guys like Nathan MacKinnon, one of the best players in the league right now. Alexander Barkov, who is also one of the better centermen in the league at this moment. And then you had a lot of other really good players like Sean Monahan, Elias Lindholm, captain of the Vancouver Canucks, Bo Horvat, Seth Jones, who in my opinion is like a Norris Trophy caliber defenseman. And, you know, you could go on and on. Anthony Mantha, Jonathan Dren, Max Domi. Again, I don't just want to name off too many players, but again, you guys get the point. I think overall, throughout this draft, did produce a lot of very good NHL players, and I wouldn't really call it average. I would say it was definitely pretty good. And now we have the 2012 draft. I'm sure a lot of you guys were curious as to what I was going to say on this class. I'll start off by saying it definitely was underwhelming, but I don't necessarily think it's as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. I feel like some people act like it didn't produce any good NHL players at all, and that is certainly not the case. The amount of good goaltenders that came from the 2012 draft is pretty insane. Jonas Korpisalo has blossomed into a great goaltender. Obviously, guys like Connor Hellebuck, Andre Vasilevsky, Frederick Anderson, and Matt Murray. Those are some really good goalies there. And it did produce some good players as well, like Philip Forsberg, Morgan Riley. Jacob Slavin was an absolute steal in the 2012 draft. Teuvo Teravainen, you know, a lot of other really good players. But those are just, you know, some of the guys that come to my mind. Yes, it did have its busts in the top, you know, end of the draft. Nail Yakupov, of course, number 1 overall, not even in the league anymore. Griffin Reinhart, same goes for him. But like I said, overall, it still did produce some good players. but I will put it in the meh category just because it isn't on par with any of the other drafts, and any of the drafts that I put in average, I don't necessarily think the 2012 draft will be on par with those either. So right now I'm going to put it in meh. Next up we have the 2011 draft, and honestly I think I am going to put it in the good category as well. On the channel we recently did a redraft on the 2011 NHL draft. You guys seem to enjoy that video, and there's a lot of really good players that came from this class, and now that I'm recording this, I'm kind of realizing that there isn't really such thing as a bad draft class. You're always going to have studs coming from every single draft, and 2011 is definitely no different. Highlighted by Nikita Kucherov, who's one of the very best players in the NHL right now, was drafted in the second round, an absolute steal by the Lightning. And then you had a lot of other very, very good players, guys like Mark Scheifele, Landeskog, Jonathan Huberdeau, Sean Couturier, Mika Zibanejad, Dougie Hamilton, even Jordan Binnington, who obviously, broke out and became a star goaltender last season. Obviously, I'm not naming everybody, but those are the guys that come to mind. Overall, I think it was a pretty good draft. I'm not going to put it in average because I do think it is on par with the other draft classes that I have in the good category. Next up in the order, we have the 2010 draft class, and I feel like I am being a little bit too nice here, but I think I'm going to put them in the good category as well. I mean, just remembering players that were drafted in 2010, the top two picks turned out to be great in Tyler Seguin and Taylor Hall. And then you had also a lot of other really good players like Vlad Tarasenko, Evgeny Kuznetsov, Mark Stone was an absolute steal, and I believe like the 6th round, which is pretty insane. He's now one of the elite wingers in the league. And then other good players too, like Jeff Skinner, Ryan Johansson, I believe Brendan Gallagher was a 2011 draft pick as well. I just feel like it's on par with a lot of these classes, and now I'm kind of questioning myself, and I feel like I'm not going to end up having any classes here in the average tier. But yeah, make sure to let me know down in the comment section below if you guys think I am being a little bit too nice. But I don't just want to put a draft class in the average tier just for the sake of not leaving it empty. Anyways, moving on to 2009, this is definitely one that I am considering putting in the average tier, because yes, the top picks turned out to be great. John Tavares and Victor Hedman have been stars basically throughout their entire careers and still are right now. And then you had your steals, Ryan O'Reilly drafted in the second round turned out to be great. But other than like those guys, how many real stars did this draft produce? It did produce a lot of really good players. Evander Kane, Braden Shen, Nazem Kadri, just to name a couple, but outside of the top picks, I don't necessarily think there was a lot of stars sprinkled throughout the draft class. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in the average tier. At least not as many stars as these draft classes produced, in my opinion, at least. Obviously, feel free to have your own opinion. You can disagree. But right now, 2009 is the first class I'm going to put in the average tier. Next up, we have the 2008 draft. I remember this draft as the draft of defensemen. So many great defenders have came from the 2008 draft. Obviously, Erik Karlsson, Drew Doughty, John Carlson, Alex Pietrangelo, and Roman Josi. And then you had some other solid defenders as well, like Tyler Myers, Jared Spurgeon, and Jake Gardner. I think I honestly do want to put this in the good category because you did have a lot of really good forwards as well, like Steven Stamkos, who obviously has had an amazing career, Jordan Eberle. Outside of Stamkos, there weren't really many star forwards, but again, a lot of fantastic defensemen. This is tough. I don't know if I want to put it in the average tier or if I want to put it in good. I think for the reason that it just produced so many amazing defensemen, I am going to put it in the good category, but like it's pretty close. It's just up here by a slight bit, just a little bit ahead of the 2009 draft. 2007, this is a little bit of a tough one. It was headlined by Patrick Kane, who obviously turned out to be an absolute stud, is going to be a Hall of Famer, arguably the best American NHL player of all time. And then you had some really good players like Jacob Voracek, Jamie Benn, who was an absolute steal in the 5th round by Dallas, Logan Couture, PK Subban and Ryan McDonough, other players that have had really good careers. But again, I'm not sure if it has produced as many, stars as the classes that we have in the good category. And I feel like it is kind of on par with 2009. Having Patrick Kane maybe does put it a slight bit above, but I don't know. I think I am going to put it in the average tier for now. But once I'm done and have all the draft classes in a tier, I'm going to go back and revise it at the end of the video and see if I want to change anything. And that is one that I'm not exactly too confident about. So we'll go back and take a look at that one a little bit later. But for right now, I'm going to keep the 2007 class in average along with 2009. Alright, 2006 is a tough one because it produced multiple players that were at one point throughout their career, in my opinion, a superstar. Nicholas Backstrom, Phil Kessel, Claude Giroux, Jonathan Toews, Brad Marchand. But then after that, there is a pretty significant drop-off. Jordan Staal has had a good career, Milan Lucic as well, but like, other than those guys, there weren't too many amazing players. So I'm going to put 2006 in average as well. And honestly, it could be in meh, but just for the fact that it did produce a lot of players that were at one point in their career superstars, like I said, I definitely think that kind of saves it and keeps it in the average tier for me at least. Finishing off with 2005, I have to put it in the good category. Sidney Crosby selected first overall, one of the greatest players of all time. Carey Price, by the time he retires, he will probably be viewed as one of the top goaltenders of all time. And then you just had a lot of really good players. Anze Kopitar had a fantastic career, won multiple Stanley Cups. Keith Yandel, TJ Oshie, Bobby Ryan, Chris Letang. I definitely think I have to keep it in the good category, and kind of just for the fact that Sidney Crosby came from that draft and Carey Price as well. So that is my tier list right now. I'm going to go back and kind of revise things and see if I want to change anything, so I'll be right back. Alright, I think I am going to keep it like this. I will say it is pretty difficult to compare recent drafts like, say, for instance, the 2016 and 2015 drafts to a draft like 2007 and 2006, where in the recent drafts those players are in their primes and the best players in the league right now. And then you have the 07 and 06 draft where a lot of players could be, out of their prime. So it is pretty tough to compare, but I feel like I did an okay job. Again, if you guys did disagree, this will be linked down below in the description so you guys can go make your own and maybe tweet me a picture or something like that. But yeah, that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope you all did enjoy. Like I said, if you did disagree with any of my picks, just be sure to let me know what yours would look like down in the comment section, or like I said, if you want to do this and tweet me a picture, that is cool too. And if you want to see me do more tier list videos and rankings like this, just be sure to drop a like on it and let me know that you enjoyed the video down in the comment section. So with all that being said, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and want to see more NHL content like this, and I will see you all in the next one.